What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, look, Chris Eubanks Jr. and Connor Benn, I want to speak about them for a little bit, and I feel like their fight has been kind of overshadowed because of all of what's going on with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, that a lot of the attention has just been focused on that instead of an actual fight that's gonna happen. So, Connor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. Let me say this, because we go by things that we know and what we think we know. Okay, what we think we know is based on the information that's presented to us. Okay, and our opinions are formed if you're unbiased. Just base it on what you see and what you kind of lean towards. Based on that, that's all fine. Okay, let me say, Connor Benn, he can punch. He has speed. But him being naturally the smaller guy, you'd feel like size and power goes to Chris Eubanks Jr. I don't know, he has speed, he has power, and he's naturally bigger. So I don't try to be neutral with anything. Yes, the favorite to win this fight is Chris Eubanks Jr., and I can understand why. Now, can Connor Benn overcome his, being a smaller guy, naturally the smaller guy? It's going to come down to what happens in the ring. So it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. And I always say that we can always give our opinions, but it doesn't matter. This is why I really don't speak too much about who I think is going to win the fight, especially when it comes to elite level guys. But yeah, I can clearly understand why Chris Eubanks Jr. is favored to win this fight. Now, can you take someone lightly and then they surprise you? Absolutely. Absolutely. No matter what you think, you can't control how the fighter is going to actually fight. So you can look at the fight one way and it goes completely a whole different direction. So yeah, I understand clearly that those things can happen. Hopefully it's a good fight. Hopefully neither guy goes and gets damaged, but this is the hurt business. So what's going to happen is going to happen. I didn't make this video to make a prediction because, truthfully, like I said, that doesn't matter. And we can be right. Who knows how they're going to approach the fight. Connor Benn is known for pretty much walking his opponents down, going for the KO. Chris Eubanks, it depends on who he's fighting, and basically, I don't expect him to fight on the back foot against Connor. I really don't. We're going to see what both guys are made of. Once you accept a fight, like for example, when Kell Brook went up and he fought Triple G, that fight, to me, I didn't see the point. Because even though Kell Brook has power, he's a boxer. Triple G mauls guys, okay? He basically comes to break you down. And I said that fight, even if Kell Brook is able to have some success with, outboxing Triple G for a little while, I believe the type of shots that Triple G lands, and with his power and his pressure, he's going to eventually catch up to Brook and wear him out and probably get him out of there. And he, the fight was stopped. He broke his orbital bone. And this is the thing that people fail to realize about smaller guys getting hit by naturally bigger guys. The smaller guy, the bigger guy, more than likely, unless you just have a weak chin or, not in shape that, the fight shape that you should be in, they can absorb the punishment better coming from that smaller guy most of the time, okay, than the other way around. And pretty much, people might forget or might not want to, admit it because they want to Kell Brook to win. That doesn't change the reality. I believe that fight took a lot out of Kell Brook. Same thing when Amir Khan went up and decided to go fight, Canelo Alvarez. I said the same thing. He might be able to outbox Canelo for a little while, but we know that, Khan can't take a punch, and Canelo can punch. So I pretty much said, as soon as he tap him on the chin, it's over. And it pretty much is going to be one punch. He's not even going to need a combination. One punch, and Khan is out. And that's exactly what happened. Now, what I'm not going to do for any fighter, okay, when you decide to go up in weight and challenge someone, what I'm not going to do is start making an excuse that you were too small. Even if the fact is you are not big enough or strong enough to beat this guy. Well, you thought that you were. So after you've been humbled, then understand that's not going to stop other fighters from doing the same thing. But yeah, he was too big and too strong. I remember, Terry Norris coming down in weight to fight Meldrick Taylor. And Meldrick Taylor admitted at the end of the fight, they asked, was he too big and too strong? Yeah, he was too big and too strong. And this wasn't Meldrick coming up to 154. This was, Terry coming down in weight. They met at a catch weight, something like that. So at the end of the day, it's just one of these things. You can see a fighter and think that there's holes in their game that you could exploit, and find out that it's easier from the outside, looking in than what you thought. And watching Connor and Chris is it makes me laugh too when he says, well, I'm at 60%. There's no way I can be at 100%. I have to lose too much weight to come down and do something that I've never done before. But my 60% is going to be good enough to beat Connor. And, I'm basically going to have fun. And I'm sitting there laughing because it's like, every time he says that shit, it's like the camera shows Connor's facial expression. Man, that shit cracks me up because Connor's looking like, man, I hate you. I hate your guts. Like, he really does not like when he says that. And so Chris Eubanks is basically saying these things to get under Connor's skin. So what's going to happen is going to happen. But if these guys were naturally around the same weight, it would be less of a concern about what may happen to Connor. It's the size difference. We'll see what happens if he can actually compete with him, and if his power carries over, and we'll see. The fight's on. Hopefully it's a good fight. But no, we're not going to sit here and certain fighters like Holyfield going up to heavyweight, Usyk going up to heavyweight. Roy did it one time and didn't stay at heavyweight, and Roy was only 199 pounds. So I don't think anybody expected Roy to stay at heavyweight anyway. Pernell went all the way to 154 and went back down. Like, what I'm saying, we've had people that did, Canelo even did it when he fought Kovalev. Now, there's always, people that's going to try to explain, yeah, but this happened when he went up and that happened. Look, I don't want to hear that Conor was too small afterwards. Because once you've made your mind up to do something, if your ego ends up writing a check that your ass can't cash, then so be it. And even like I said, if that's the reality, that fact is non-existent. For the simple fact, when a fighter wins, like for example, let's just say if Conor actually just caught Chris and knocked him out, nobody's going to say it's because he was too small. Nobody was going to say it was because he was too small. When Roy Jones went up and beat John Ruiz, people said he was too small before the fight. They changed their mind after the fight. Kell Brook went up, and they said, yeah, but he's not naturally a middleweight. That's Triple G. When Amir Khan got knocked out by Canelo Alvarez, then they said, yeah, but man, he went up to just try to, he showed that he's a great fighter, and it was more of probably trying to get a bigger payday than, whoever they have as a challenger in their respective weight classes. So it can be a factor. Don't get that we get that, okay? But we're not going to pick and choose who's too small and who wasn't. It's like people saying Juan Manuel Marquez was too small for Floyd, but yet he wasn't too small for Pacquiao. Yet Pacquiao wasn't too small for Floyd. But then they always bring up that they came from a lighter weight, as did Floyd come from a lighter weight. So it's like people just pick and choose who gets the green light on the weight not bothering them. Like, we saw Canelo go up and people say he dared to be great. They didn't say that when he fought Kovalev because he won. They said it when he fought Bivol because he lost. You understand? So this whole thing about fighters going up and down in weight. Now, as far as is this a one and done for Connor, it may depend on how he looks. Because if he can handle, I'll say this, if he can handle Chris Eubanks' power, if he can go in there and go 12 rounds, especially if he wins, but if he can go in there, then he'll probably stay at 168. They're fighting at a catch weight, so not he might go to like 154 and stay there, put it like that. That's what I'm saying. Because I think that if he stays at 154, if he beats Chris Eubanks, they'll probably start knocking on Jermell Charlo's door. This is what I'm looking at. For Chris Eubanks, this is a catchweight fight for him. And, people have pointed out, oh, but Floyd fought such and such at a catchweight. This person fought such and such at a catchweight. And it's like, okay, but they agreed to it. And for Chris Eubanks, saying that he's only going to be 60%, you have people that saying, oh, he's already making excuses, so if he loses, that's what he's going to say. And then you have people that's like, for me, I see the smirk on his face when he's saying these things. I feel like he's just being sarcastic. And him saying, I'm only going to be 60%, I'm not going to say, oh, well, that was the reason. No, because he agreed to the catch weight. And I believe that he's just doing these things to piss Nigel Benn off. But we'll see what happens in the fight first. And he's even saying that if he loses, then he has to retire if he loses to Nigel Benn, because he wants to fight for a title, and that for him to do that, he can't lose to Connor. And basically he's insulting him to a point of like, yeah, you are a good fighter, but just not on my level and not at this weight class. So he's saying all these things to get under his skin, like I said. But I hope that it's a good fight. The fight's on, it's going to happen, and we'll just see how, the way things go. Again, the concern for Nigel was because Chris is just way bigger, and pretty much, I guess that's just a natural reaction for people. If Chris Eubanks didn't have power, if he was like, just had maybe respectable power, I think people wouldn't really look at it the same way. And that it's different, because what's funny about it is a lot of people still knock Chris Eubanks, and we've seen him with Roy, we've seen him fight, and so we saw some new angles and some new things from Chris Eubanks. But again, but look at who he fought. So it's funny that they go from saying that to feeling bad for Connor, because my thing is this, if Chris was as bad of a fighter as people were saying, then they should be confident that Connor would beat him. So it's obvious, like I said, they criticize a lot of fighters, but then at the same time, they give him credit in indirect way without even realizing it. Because, like I said, Nigel Benn himself was getting criticism until his last fight. Then people started going, okay, yeah, Nigel Benn is a good fighter. And you always are going to have people that don't like certain fighters' styles or whatever, and they're going to say that this guy is overrated and all this stuff. But I feel like they both have something to prove. I really don't care about the whole. I'm not feeding and all into the this is the third fight between because of the two fights between the dads. Like, no, this fight has nothing to do with the dads. I mean, they both can say what they want. He disrespected my dad. Oh, he this and that. I gotta keep my name, my family name, alive by doing this. I gotta, whatever. That's all storyline. Let's build up to the fight. You know, their dads have nothing to do with this fight, other than showing up to the fight, being in their son's corner. Aside from that, the way I see it, it's Chris Eubanks Jr. versus Connor Benn. Simple. I'm not looking at this. This is for their dads, for the legacy of their dads and all. No, this is not the third fight. This is the first fight between Connor and Chris. But anyway, I don't really care about a prediction personally for myself. Everybody can feel how they feel. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.